Hello, everybody. It's PsyFerret, and today we have another episode of PsyBreaks. PsyBreaks is a show where I talk about what I've been up to outside of my day job and streaming. You know, kind of just like, hey, this is what's going on in the ferret life, and that's all there is to it. It's not really a review show. It's not really anything special. It's just little vloggy things, and you know, I'm just doing things. So let's get into it, shall we? This week's been dominated prominently by, TV shows, to be perfectly honest. I've been mostly watching like some YouTube videos on how to improve my stream and such, so it's been hard to do a whole lot of like TVs and movies and such. My list this week has been Harley Quinn season 2 that I watched on HBO Max, The 100 season 7 that I've been watching on via Xfinity, Archer season 11 that I've been watching on Xfinity, and The Boys season 2 that I've been watching thanks to Amazon Prime. All right. So the first one I want to talk about today is going to be Harley Quinn that, again, I watched from HBO Max. To be perfectly honest, I'm not huge into DC. Like, I like a couple of things. Batman's always a good time, stuff like that. I wouldn't call myself a huge DC fan, though, to be perfectly honest. And to be even harsher, I've never been a big fan of Harley Quinn. The entire concept of therapist turned lover / sidekick is a little awkward as somebody who originally wanted to be a psychologist and therapist. It definitely seems like a very anti-professional move that a lot of people, and considering you have to get a master's degree, like that should have been like, she should never have been really accepted into many programs, if any programs, and she's supposedly accepted into a really good one. So it's kind of one of those like, there's a lot of suspension of disbelief on that. But here's the thing. While I've never been a really big fan of Harley Quinn, I really enjoyed this animated show. Like, this has been a lot of fun. And I mean, this show has a lot of girl power. It has a lot of characters just growing into their own. It's got great character development. It's been a fun time. Now, to be perfectly honest, I'm not going to talk about season 1 all that much, because I wouldn't have watched season 2 if I didn't enjoy season 1. So I watched all of season 2. Whew, there was a lot. And, to be perfectly honest, it was a great time. It was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. But, truth be told, it had a lot of high moments. It had a lot of low moments. And while this show may be called Harley Quinn, this season, I didn't care about Harley at all. Kaylee Cuoco does a great job. I love Kaylee Cuoco's performance in this show. Like, she does some great things. She makes Harley Quinn feel good. But to be perfectly honest, like, she just didn't feel like the main character this season. Not that that was necessarily a bad thing. It was just how she was. Like, I just didn't really care about Harley Quinn. Which is funny because it's the name of the show. It's Harley Quinn. And who do I care about least about? Harley. So, I mean, it's one of those things that like, okay. But I mean, when it came down to it, like, I really enjoyed what Harley was trying to do for Ivy. I personally had a lot more entertainment from watching Ivy's character development, more so than I had from Harley, because Harley didn't really feel to go anywhere this season. She had a lot of like, oh, I'm an idiot, or I make a lot of mistakes, which is fine, but she didn't do anything. She was just like, I'm just a ball of chaos, ha 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 ha, and then a lot of like teenage angst feelings behind it. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's just that's how it felt to me, so I wasn't as interested into it. And Kite Man's like been like a really good character this season. Like, the first season, he was kind of, I was like, all right, I okay, he's the thing. But season 2, he really shined. And having seen some of his backstory and stuff, or not backstory, but like some of the other influences in his life beyond just being Kite Man, just like, I have a kite, it was interesting and it was fun. But I'm gonna be real. All the other villains, and there was a few, none of them felt like they mattered. None of them felt like they mattered. The one villain, the last villain, if you will, quote unquote, uh, near the end, that was kind of a surprise. I'm trying to avoid too many spoilers, but the last villain at the end, even then, didn't really feel like a threat. It was just oh, you're right, this is a plot device that keeps characters doing something, not just keeping more Harley doing something more so than anything else. None of the real characters just felt important. They were just there. Or they were just like, hey, we're messing things up and that's all there is to it. No, we're doing villain things. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, okay, why are you doing this? I mean, and considering that, you know, Batman is supposed to be a major threat through all the supervillains, the fact that he wasn't really involved, well, understandable, they did explain why he wasn't involved, kind of felt sad. Like in the first season, yes, he wasn't really a threat in that either, but he showed up and he caused problems and additional drama. In this season, you could have just said Batman was dead and I would never have known the difference. Perfectly honest, never would have known the difference. I will say, however, Gordon and Batgirl, hilarious. I love those two. They had some great character developments. They were probably one of my favorite things to just see out of this season. Gordon and Batgirl were just perfect. I mean, overall, I would say that the show it's a good show. I enjoyed it. If you've got some time, it's worth a watch. I would do it. It's definitely there. So yeah. Harley Quinn. No ratings because this is not a review show, but I recommend it. It's a good fun. So next on the list, the 100. The 100. How I used to love you. I think the 100 is kind of suffering for me the same thing that Supernatural did, is that it's been going on for a while and they're kind of running out of new ideas. Truth be told, this show we are currently on 7 seasons with the 100. I will say I really did like season 1 and 2. None of the show, like all the early episodes and seasons, it was good. This last season, I honestly, like, I've watched, and I think the fact that I hadn't like tried to rewatch anything in the previously definitely made it a lot more interesting. If I had binge watched it from season 1 to season 7, I probably would be like, season 7's not that great. Like, it's one of those like, yes, tell me more moments here. And again, I really like the show, but I feel like it's kind of fallen apart. The storylines, like, they're not, I don't know where they're going and what they're trying to say or accomplish. And there's been a theme for the characters in the last season or two that's been like, be better, quit being murder hobos. Quit trying to kill everyone. And what do immediately after? Kill everybody. Like, I mean, if you say so. I mean, if your goal is to kill less people, you're not on the right track for that. Let's just put it that way. And I mean, some of the character development, like, I guess, but like, I didn't see some of it and it still doesn't make sense. And like, don't get me, I understand that some characters went through years where, you know, and it doesn't feel like it for others, especially since they're apparently like, hey, there's a planet that's on a completely different time frame and goes like 10 years. For 10 years to them is like 1 year, 1 day to us. And it's like, okay, cool. But they don't really do much else with that other than just messing with things. And it's like, okay, but the characters never seem to really age in that sense too. Like, the only character that actually seemed to age, they completely replaced actresses because it went from child to adult. But otherwise, like, hey, we went from like 20 to 30 and we look no different. We seem to behave no differently. And it's just like, I'm capable of saying I am definitely different from where I was 10 years ago. That wasn't not too hard. I just got mixed feelings about it, but at the same time, the early seasons are definitely worth a watch. I am going to try and finish it. So, it's one of those, there we go. But I don't know where it's going. And what originally made me happy about the show is so many characters had to band together despite having such obvious conflicts. And now they're like one crew and it's like, I don't know about this. But I mean, overall, it's still fun. It's still exciting. It's just, I don't know. It's been entertaining, but it's not like, hey, I would I definitely liked Harley Quinn and I recommend that. This is one of those, you got some time? Give it a shot. Why not? That's how I feel about it. So next, Archer. Oh, Archer. All right. I like Archer. I just want to be upfront and clear about that. I enjoy Archer. I would not I would recommend it if you have that sense of humor for it. It is a dumb show that has a lot of smart moments, and then it tries to pretend it's dumb with those smart moments. It's a wonderful mix between smart humor and dumb humor, and there's a lot of things that you're just like, oh, and it's a fun show. Don't get me wrong, but man, do they push some serious questions on certain things. It just keeps making me laugh. I'm not gonna lie, I laughed through plenty of it, and then but in retrospect, I'm always like, man, some of the things that show says is just straight up offensive. There ain't no ifs, ands, or buts about that. That show can be offensive. Whew. I mean, but here's the thing. I think one of the things that makes this show so good is that most of the offensiveness comes from the main character, and you hate, everybody hates the main character. But at the same time, you enjoy the main character's presence. And then there's a lot, he's gonna get that Deus Ex Machina, and he's just gonna make it look like he's the world's greatest spy for a reason. He's actually talented and smart and capable, but he half-asses the job all the time. So, he doesn't really do anything. It doesn't seem to be doing anything other than just making everybody's life miserable. But at the same time, when push comes to shove and things have to get done, he takes rocks and makes things work. And you're just like, all right, sure. I don't know how that works, but okay, cool. And things just seem to work out, and it's like, okay. But it still makes me laugh, and you're always kind of in this, you like Archer and yet completely despise him at the same time because he's just that offensive. But at the same time, most of the other characters, not really that likable either. The one character that you're kind of the one character I sit there and go, this is the one character I think is the most reasonable. She has plenty of, is Lana. And even then I'm like, is she really the good one in this group, or is she just the less bad person in the group? And that question just kind of, there it is. She's not good. She's just less bad than everyone else. And that's all there is to it. But again, it keeps making me laugh. It's got some smart humor found here and there. And I think the fact that the show doesn't really take itself seriously really helps with that. Because I think if it tried to actually be sincere and serious, it would just go downhill immediately. This show clearly is hey, let's take James Bond, make him a complete dick, an obvious dick, and everyone hate him. And then you're just okay. Because James Bond's kind of a dick, and hey, well, Archer's a horrible person. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I do find it, I do laugh at it, but it's just how good, is it offensive? Yes. Is it still funny somehow? To me, yes. To everyone else, to a lot of people, clearly, because otherwise the show wouldn't be going for 11 seasons. But it's not going to appeal to everybody. It's just not. But if you've got the time and the patience, it's definitely worth it, in my opinion. I strongly recommend that. Now, The Boys. If you've done anything Amazon related, you should have seen this ad at least once or 500 times. I've seen so many ads for The Boys, I don't even, like, it's stuck in my head. But as a big fan of season 1, the fact that they were like, hey, here's season 2, I'm like, I've been meaning to watch this forever. Ooh. And thank goodness, because there's one thing I've been missing lately, and it's going to come down to quite simply, where's my gray? Where's my many shades of gray? One of my favorite elements, the only time I really love stories is when nobody's good and nobody's bad. It's what made me love Game of Thrones originally. It's what makes me love The Witcher. No one's good and no one's bad. Now, granted, so far with The Boys, I've only watched episodes 1 and 2, so I haven't gotten that far yet. But it's been a ride. It has been a ride. So no, it's definitely been a ride, and I have been having so much fun with it so far. So episodes 1 and 2, definitely so far so good. I love, like, Carl Urban is like my favorite, like, B+ actor. He's never been in enough big productions and been like the star of anything really big. And I don't mean to talk, like, I really like Carl Urban and a lot of his performance, but he's just never big enough. He's just never big enough of a star. Yeah, it's been a great fun. It's a great time. I recommend it. And I'm excited to watch more. That's just all there is to it. And yeah, this is going to be the end of the PsyBreaks. I do appreciate you all here. I hope to see you all later. You can always find me live on twitch.tv/PsyFerret Monday, Wednesday, Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Mountain Time. And I hope you have a wonderful evening, or a wonderful, good one. Goodbye, everybody.